What if I told you someone invested more than £300,000 in a business that I built? Now, do I look like £300,000 worth of people? I don't. And this little mockumentary, isn't going to be about that investment. Because if all you take away from this is my story, then you've learnt nothing at all. I would rather show you how you create your own. Now, little tip, I never came from private equity. I didn't have investors waiting for me to back me either. I don't have any magic Silicon Valley connectors. I simply built something people wanted. Then I made sure people actually knew it existed. Very simple, actually. And that's where I think so many people get it wrong. Everyone is obsessed with building, getting the logo perfect, getting the website perfect, getting the colour scheme perfect, the perfect app, the perfect feature. And here's the truth. Nobody cares about your app, your business, if nobody knows about it. And that means everybody needs to know about it. I've seen people build their business for years and never get one single customer. Then I've seen someone launch something that's been imperfect, but they tell everyone about it. They get users, they improve it every week, and they build real businesses. Marketing does beat perfection every single time. So, how did I end up with a business worth investing in? Well, it wasn't magic. It wasn't even luck. It wasn't because I wrote the world's best code. I didn't even write the code. I used Replit to do that. It happened because every day I spoke about what I was building. And I showed people. I asked for feedback. I listened to customers. I improved. Then one customer became 10, then 10 became 100, then 100 became kind of 1,000, then 1,000. You kind of get where I'm going with this. And it was one opportunity that led to another opportunity, and eventually private equity started asking questions. A little bit of a story here is I basically went to a couple of trade shows, ruffled the feathers of some of the competition that I got backing for private equity, and that's where it all came from. And here's something else most people don't actually know. I've actually sold that business. Well, I didn't actually sell the business. I sold the code in the business. And that's the intellectual property. The thing that everyone thought was just the app. What that sold for, well, that's a story for a other day, and it's a little secret between me and the buyer. So if you're watching this, hoping I'll tell you exactly how I made over £300,000 in investment, you're asking the wrong question. The better question is, how do you build something that somebody else wants badly enough to invest in? That's the journey we're going on today. And it's not my story, it's your story. So stop trying to build the next £1 billion company. Build something useful. Tell people about it. Get your first customers, then your second, and etc. Because business aren't built by code, they're built by customers. And that is where your story begins in the world of business, is getting the marketing right and get marketing to customers, speaking to where your customers are. So yeah, if you want to build a successful business, takeaway from today, it's marketing. You want to speak to 100 people, and I mean speak to everybody and anybody about your business. It's your business at the end of the day. It might be an app-based, it might be a physical business. You want to speak to people every single day. So tune in for part 2, which is going to be about how the marketing journey works and how you're going to find your customers and how you're going to meet your first customer. So here's part 2 of finding your first customer. And I'll tell you right now, if you don't know, I've got ADHD and autism. So I like to jump about, move about, okay? And if you're watching part 2 and you've not watched part 1, well, you need to go and find my other videos, okay? They'll be somewhere in my profile. Find them, come back and watch this one once you've watched part 1, okay? Right, so let's get down to business. You've built your app, okay? Maybe you've built it using tools like Replit. Maybe you've used ElevenLabs to give it a voice. Maybe you've connected Stripe or PayPal so you can take payments, okay? Whatever you've used, whatever you've done, congratulations, you have built something, okay? Whoop-de-doo. You've done something that most people only ever talk about. You've actually built something. Now, and here's the problem you now have, okay? Your app has exactly 0 value if nobody uses it, okay? Code doesn't build businesses. Customers do. Well, paying customers do, should I add. So, where do you find your first set of customers, okay? You can spend thousands of pounds on advertising if you've got an unlimited set of cash, and if you do, you're probably not watching this video. But you don't do that by doing advertising, okay? Not by hoping someone magically finds your website and they're like, oh my god, that's just what I needed. You go and find them. You post on LinkedIn, you post on X, you post on Facebook, you join Facebook groups, you make videos on TikTok, you message other businesses local to you that you think might be interested in. In fact, any business you think might be local, might support you. You speak to people at networking events, you actually go and network people, you actually go and touch some grass, and you show people what you've built. And here's something I've learned. People don't buy software, they buy solutions, okay? And they don't care how clever your code is. They care whether you save them time, make them more money, or solve a problem. Generally, that's the 3 things they care about. 1 customer becomes 2 customers, 2 customers become 10, and then 10 becomes 100, and you get the picture here, okay? That's how momentum starts. Not with millions of users overnight. You're very unlikely going to have that. But with 1 person saying, yes, this solves my problem. And guess what? That's your first real win. Okay? And don't worry if someone says no. Good. Guess what? Ask them why. What's the reason you want to say no? That feedback is worth way more than that other week of coding. Okay? In fact, at this point, you should not be coding anymore. Every no makes a product better. Every conversation teaches you something. So stop chasing perfection. It will come, trust me. Ship it. Talk about it. Improve it. And repeat. Okay? The best founders aren't the best programmers. And sometimes you'll need support with that. Sometimes you'll need somebody to help marketing. But there are people who never stop talking to customers. So your challenge today is very simple. Open your laptop if you've got a business, okay? Publish what you've built. Message 5 potential customers, because your next investor is probably hidden behind your first customer. And part 3, we're going to talk about the perfection and why it's important to get your first customer, and a little bit about groups in Facebook, Instagram, and social media, because social media is your new marketing tool. So tune in for part 3. It'll probably be maybe the final part. I don't know. I might do a few more for you of these. I've been enjoying them. So tune in for part 3, and let's get going. Welcome to part 3. Building a brand that brings you customers. Well, if you've not watched part 1, 2, go and watch them first before you watch part 3. Right, so you've built an app. Now it's time to build something just as important. And this is your brand, because people don't just buy products and services and software. They buy trust. And your brand is how you earn that trust before you've even spoken to someone. Trust me, brand is so important. So, We're going to go with step one. Grab a pen and paper for this, okay? What about your business brand, okay? Your business brand needs to look like a real business, okay? And when I say it needs to look like a real business, I mean professional logo, a website that showcases your products and services that you offer, a proper email address, right? And I'm going to make this very clear, right? When I say a proper email address, I don't mean at gmail.com. I mean info at yourdomainname.com, okay? That's what I mean by a proper email address. You can get them now for 99 cents and a pound and all that. They're not cheap to pick up, right? Now, clear branding. You want clear branding, something that people understand, okay? You want a consistent colour scheme, okay? You also, this is an important one, you want the same profile picture across every platform, okay? So when someone searches your business, they should instantly know it's the right company, the right place across TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere, right? And I don't mean, okay, I see this all the time, okay? In X or Twitter, you've got one brand, and TikTok, you've got other brand, and Facebook, you've got other one, right? It should be the same. Every time I click on search a company, it comes with the same logo, okay? If it doesn't, fix that problem right now. Step two is build your personal brand. This is where so many founders and business people miss the opportunity. Now, do you ever see me on my channel talk about my businesses? No, you don't, okay? Because guess what? This is my personal brand, okay? People don't invest in logos, okay? They invest in me, okay? The people. They invest in your story, okay? They want to know who's behind the business. And you would not believe how many people I get who talk about these videos that I make, who they are customers of my businesses, okay? And they want to know what you believe in, okay? Be outspoken. If you believe in something, be there, okay? I don't lie to my customers. I tell my customers straight up what I believe in, okay? And if you don't like it, well, you don't need to use my services. It's a free market, okay? But they want to know what you're building, why you're building it. They want to know it. And that's your personal brand, okay? Often what opens the door before your company ever gets a chance. And I see that more and more. People like me, and they want to support my businesses, and they do it. So show your face, tell your story, share what you're learning, celebrate the wins, talk about the failures, and people trust authenticity far more than perfection. I don't do these videos. These videos are not perfection, okay? I don't claim to be a social media guru that knows everything about video editing. I don't, okay? I just like to do raw videos, which is what you get now. And you're going to get step 3, okay? And you want to set up every platform properly. Create a business page on Facebook, okay? Create a LinkedIn company page, okay? Optimize your personal LinkedIn profile to ensure it also is kind of your company LinkedIn profile. Create an Instagram business account, okay? Set up a TikTok business account. Secure your username on every platform, even if you don't plan on using them all immediately, because consistency matters. Use the same logo. Told you this before. Use the same goddamn colours. Told you that before. The same business name. Believe it or not, it's very important. The same message. And then, right, if someone finds you on TikTok, they check you on LinkedIn, they should immediately recognise it's the same business, okay? So don't be having a green background on Instagram and a blue background on LinkedIn. Not going to work, right? And then decide what each platform's for, okay? Facebook, is that for building local communities and conversations? Instagram showcases your products and your services and your journey visually. It's more of a visual tool. TikTok captures attention with short, authentic videos. You can have a chit chat, hi, bye. Okay. LinkedIn builds professional credibility and attracts a lot more B2B clients. And X lets you share ideas, join conversations, and connect with founders, developers, investors. You don't actually know who you find on X. You find a lot of surprising people there, okay? And don't try and be someone else online. Cannot stress that more importantly. Be consistently yourself. And that is how your brand, business and personal brand, will grow. Okay. Step 5, be known for something. Okay. Maybe it's AI. Maybe it's logistics. Maybe it's construction. Okay. Maybe it's fintech. Okay. Whatever your industry is, talk about it every single week, in fact, every single day. When people hear your name, they should immediately think of one thing, okay? And that one is called branding, right? Step 6 is document. Don't just advertise, okay? Don't spend every day saying, buy my app, download my app, buy my app. Okay, instead, show people what you're building. Record customer feedback if you can. Customer feedback's great. Film product updates. Share lessons you've learned. Celebrate milestones with all of your customers. And believe but take people behind the scenes. That's the content people remember, right? Step 7, well, it's going to be this, but be everywhere your customers are, okay? I don't know how many times I need to tell founders this and business people this, okay? Your customers might be right on TikTok, okay? Check your website. Read your LinkedIn. Look at your Instagram. Search your company on Google, right? Every touch point shouldn't tell the same story. And I'll tell you one thing, a professional business run by someone they trust is going to be a business that they use, and it's going to be an app that they use. So your app might be the product, but your reputation is what sells it. Build a business people recognize. Build a personal brand people remember. And because opportunities don't usually come from the best product, they come from people, the person they already know, they already trust, they already want to work with, they know you. They're like, oh my God, I want to use it. I want to use your product. It might be more expensive than someone else's, but they like you. They like your journey. They like your personal brand that you have delivered on social media for the last 6 weeks. They found you by accident. Okay, so I want you to go and work on your business brand and your personal brand. Personal brand has to be as important as your business brand. I cannot stress that enough. So tune in for part 4. Because there's more stuff as I've recorded this. I've kind of in my head, I'm like, oh, I need to talk about this, this, and this. So part 4, tune in for part 4. Again, if you've just watched part 3, tune in to part 1, 2, and then you've watched part 3, but tune into part 1 and 2. And remember to like, subscribe, and do all the usual stuff. It helps the coding and algorithm and all that. Till next time, ta-ta! So now we're on part 4. And this is the big one. This is the big one that I certainly faced, was from one customer to having like hundreds and thousands of customers, right? So, you've built your app. You've launched it. You've got the customers. Now what happens, okay? And this is very much where businesses really begin, okay? This is when you start panicking and start stressing. Because every stage of growth asks something different from you, okay? It does. I don't care what anyone tells you. It asks something different from you, okay? So you've got one customer, okay? They prove an idea is viable, okay? Listen to them. Listen to that one customer very importantly, okay? Ask them questions. Ask them for feedback, okay? Learn everything you can learn. And at this stage, you're not trying to scale. Scale is out the window, okay? What you're trying to do is understand each customer, okay? So don't try and scale when you've got one customer, right? Now, you go from one, kind of, I would say the next milestone is getting to 10 customers, right? So 10 customers prove that the first success wasn't just luck. So the first 9 customers weren't just luck. A pattern starts to begin to emerge, okay? At this point, you start keeping record of what works, what doesn't work. You start getting the same questions. You start seeing the same frustrations. And then you'll start getting similar or the same feature requests. Now, you're building for the market, not for yourself. Okay, this is what the big thing you've got to remember. Okay, you're building for yourself, not just for yourself, for the market. Now, going from 10 to 100 customers basically is going from running nothing to running everything. You're now running a real business at this point. Okay, let's say you're charging kind of £30 at this point. Okay, you need to have everything spot on. If you're charging people £30 per month, let's say, for an app, you need to have all the proper tools, the proper invoicing, okay, the proper support, the proper documentation. You need to have the analytics at this point. You need to make sure your security for your app and everything else in your business is spot on. You need to ensure you've got reliable hosting. You need to ensure you've got processes. Processes are important, right? And from that, everything starts becoming repeatable, right? The next milestone from kind of having 100 customers is to having 1,000 customers, right? When you get to 1,000 customers, it changes your role completely, okay? You're no longer just the founder, okay? And if you're charging everybody £30, $30, €30, and you've got 1,000, do the maths and you'll work it out, right? You start becoming the leader, okay? You'll probably maybe need your first full-time employee, okay? And then someone to answer customer support. Now, you can do AI for most of this nowadays. Not going to lie to you, that's how I did it. You'll probably need someone to help with sales. You might need somebody to help you with marketing on a consistent basis. That can be the developer, the salesperson, the customer support agent, the finance team. You can't be all of them, okay? You can't be all of them forever, okay? And this is where growth means learning to trust other people. It's a big thing because it's your little baby. You've looked for that little baby and you now need to trust other people to do it. Now, going from kind of having 1,000 customers to then 10,000 customers, okay, this is when you start actually building a proper business. Do the maths, £10,000 times €30, $30, whatever. Okay, you have to have specialist marketing, sales, customer success teams, operations, finance, engineering, and you'll stop asking, how do I do this? And you'll have to start asking yourself, who is the best person to do this? Your biggest challenge is no longer finding customers. It's building a team and a culture that keeps those customers happy. Stop. And part two. So, what marketing really is, okay? So, let's be clear about something here, okay? Let's clear this up, okay? Marketing isn't just a Facebook ad, okay? Many people think marketing's dead easy, okay? It's not just about doing a TikTok dance and all that, okay? It isn't a LinkedIn, okay? Marketing is the entire experience, okay? That is your logo. That is your website. That's your emails. That's your customer service. That's your onboarding. It's your response times. It's your social media, your reviews, the way your staff answer the phone, the way your staff answer emails, the way customer describes you to someone else. Marketing is your reputation. Every interaction either strengthens your brand or weakens it. And the biggest lesson, okay, is people think success arrives overnight. It doesn't. Success arrives after 100 conversations, hundreds of LinkedIn posts, hundreds of TikTok videos, hundreds of emails, hundreds of product improvements, hundreds of customer meetings, hundreds of mistakes that actually take what it looks like. And here's why so many businesses fail. Not because the idea was bad, not because someone else had a better product. They fail because they stop. They stop posting. They stop listening. They stop improving. They stop asking customers what they need. They lose consistency. Business rewards the people who keep turning up. So the 100 no's, people ask me this all the time. How do you deal with rejection? The answer is pretty simple. I expect it. Every no is information. Every no teaches you something. Every no gets you closer to understanding what it takes to get a yes. So don't fear rejection. Study it, learn from it, because that one yes can change your whole life. So yeah, that's the end of this documentary. So yeah, so don't spend the next 10 years watching documentaries about successful founders, okay? Build your own story and use the tools that are available today. Build the app, launch before it's perfect, and talk to customers. Market everything every day and learn from every mistake. Keep improving and keep showing up and just keep going. So yeah, so you might hear no's 100 times. Good. That means you're trying, because hidden inside those 100 no's is a lesson that learns you to get your first yes. And that first yes becomes your first customer. Your first customer becomes your first 100. And your first 100 could potentially become your first massive revenue.